Let's talk about how you got started in the work you're currently doing. You didn't start out as a life coach or a life improvement coach. Where did you start?
So my background is in human resources. I was a human resources professional for 15 years. Um, I studied business management at university and just really enjoyed the HR piece. Really interested in people, particularly interested in kind of how people make the organization tick. Because of course, within organizations, those that have got the best people and the best leaders generally tend to have, great results. Um, and I really loved it. The bit that I loved the most was the behavioral piece, so understanding how people work, which is obviously a lot about what I do at the moment. Um, and essentially, the coaching part, working with senior managers to coach them on how to improve their business area, was my absolute favorite part. Building relationships, essentially helping people to understand their people better, to improve their business area. I just got a huge kick out of it. So
Mm.
I'd always loved the coaching piece. I just did it in an HR context before I had the idea for the business that I'm working in now.
And when you left HR, you left kind of the corporate world first, and then went and did what?
So yeah, I had an interesting thing. So I was in quite a senior position at quite a young age, and although I enjoyed most of my HR career, I was in a difficult organization at the time of the financial services crash.
Mm.
And I kind of fell out of love with HR then, mainly because I spent 4 years, 3 years maybe, restructuring a business that was in really poor shape. And so rather than doing the kind of proactive helping senior managers to improve their people, to improve their business area, it all became about restructuring and a numbers game. And that is a part of HR for sure, but it was basically all I was doing. And it really wasn't what I wanted to be doing from a kind of proactive, helping people, progressive point of view. And also at around the same time, myself and my husband were quite sick of corporate life on the corporate merry-go-round. We were ships in the night. It really wasn't unheard of for me to be up at 4 in the morning to be getting a train down to the capital and getting back at 9 o'clock at night, and it just wasn't sustainable. I love working hard, but doing that on a regular basis, I just didn't have the life, and myself and my husband didn't see each other as often as we would have wanted to. And so we kind of knew something had to change. And that's when we decided that we would buy somewhere in rural France. We didn't speak French at the time, so quite a few people thought we were crazy.
I love
Um, but we knew that we could get the quality of life that we wanted. I'd always wanted to have my horses at home, and in England, I had them on livery, which I think in America they call them barns. They have them at training barns. That's the situation that I had. I would go for days without seeing them, and that combined with doing a job that was stressful and really tricky at times, the quality of life just wasn't there. So once we decided we were going to buy somewhere in rural France, our kind of mind needed to go into overdrive to work out how we were going to afford to fund to live and everything else. So that's when I recognized that I had an opportunity with all of my HR skills to provide support to organizations that didn't have the need every day for an HR person in their business, but they did still need HR support as and when things arose. So that's why for a few years I was an HR consultant on that basis. And my husband did a job very similar to what he did in the UK. He was able to work remotely as well. So we were very fortunate that we were able to bring our plans to fruition.
and move the whole animal family with you.
Yes.
That's exciting. Um, at some point, you and I will have to talk about what it was like to emigrate, because I've looked at moving to France and it's a process.
Oh, it'll be a bigger job for you, given the geography. We just had to come across the channel, but it certainly took some planning. But I have to say, my advice to anybody thinking of making a big life change is, if you've thought it through and you genuinely know what it's going to give you and what you're going to leave behind, I would recommend it highly.
I love it. I love it. I love the courage in there and the adventure and the not knowing what you're doing, but hey, we're going to do this thing and it's going to be better.
We're
Trust
going
me,
to
it's
work it
going to
out
be
as we
better.
go.
Right? Yeah, that's great.